Bienvenidos, welcome back. In this lesson we're going to look at the preterite tense for ER and IR verbs, specifically those ER and IR verbs that are regular in their conjugations in the present tense. We're going to look at how they now conjugate in the preterite or past tense. First, let's take a look at the conjugation endings. For yo, it's I, tú, iste, usted, él, and ella, yo, nosotros and nosotras, imos, and ustedes, ellos, and ellas, hicieron. Do you notice anything specific about these conjugations? Let's see. Like we always do, we first take off the infinitive ending, and then look at what our subject is, who is doing the action, and put the ending on the verb that corresponds to that particular subject. All the conjugations for both ER and IR verbs were the same. If you remember the last unit on preterite tense for AR verbs, these conjugation patterns for ER and IR verbs follow very closely those patterns that we discussed for the preterite tense for the AR verbs. And as always, the accent marks are still very important in the preterite tense. They change not only the pronunciation of the word, but they can also impact the meaning of that word. So you take a shot. What are our endings again? For yo, very good, I with an accent. For tú, iste, usted, él, and ella, yo, nosotros and nosotras, imos, and ustedes, ellos, and ellas, hicieron. Well done. So in looking at just the nosotros and nosotras conjugations, what differences or similarities have we noticed? For AR verbs, our ending is amos. That's the same as the present tense, and it matches the infinitive ending for an AR verb. For IR verbs, we have imos. Again, the same as the present tense, and again, it corresponds directly to the IR infinitive ending. The difference comes with the ER verbs. Here we have imos. This is the same as the preterite IR verb. It doesn't match the infinitive of an ER verb, nor does it match the present tense nosotros or nosotras conjugation, which would be hemos. So let's look at two regular ER and IR verb examples, vivir, to live, and comer, to eat. Vivir first. Let's conjugate the entire verb in the preterite tense. For yo, viví. For tú, viviste. Usted, él, and ella, vivió. Nosotros and nosotras, vivimos. And ustedes, ellos, and ellas, vivieron. Now let's look at comer. Comer for yo comí, tú comiste, usted, él, and ella comió, nosotras and nosotros comimos, and ustedes, ellos, and ellas comieron. Notice again, all the conjugations in the preterite tense for a regular ER or IR verb are exactly the same. That was true also in the present tense with the exception of nosotros and nosotras. But in the preterite tense, those also conjugate the same with an IMOS, pronounced imos, ending. We have one slight difference for the special verb of ver. This difference comes with the use of accent marks. As I've already stated, accent marks are very important in the preterite tense, in that they change the pronunciation and the meaning of a word. When we look at the word ver, which means to see, that use of the accent mark needs to change. The root or the stem of the word ver, as it is a regular ER verb, when you take off that ER ending, the stem of that verb is simply the letter V. You put on all the normal endings that you would for the preterite tense, just without the accent marks. Yo vi, tú viste, usted, él, and ella vio, nosotros y nosotras vimos, and ustedes, ellos, and ellas vieron. Now let's review. Looking at each one of these questions, can you pick the correct answer? What is the preterite conjugation for to for both ER and IR verbs? That answer is iste. Very good. The preterite conjugation is placed where? In place of the entire infinitive ending. You take off that ER or IR before you put on the preterite conjugation. What is the preterite conjugation for the nosotros for an IR verb? All of the above, or in this case, all the below. It's imos, which is the same as the present tense conjugation, and it is linked to the IR verb infinitive ending. How about those ER verbs? How do they conjugate for nosotros in the preterite? They also do imos. That's not the same as the present. It's not linked to the infinitive because that would be amos. So what can change the pronunciation and the meaning of a preterite conjugation? Accent marks and spelling. That can change how the word is sounded and how or what the meaning of that word is. So what memory trick can we use to remember how to conjugate the ER verbs related to how to correspond or how to conjugate the IR verbs? Exactly. They do it exactly the same way. Last question. The exception to the rule for the ER verb preterite conjugation is what? That's ver. The exception comes with the use, or in this case, the not use of the accent marks. You did it. Well done. Now let's practice those review questions with a little conjugation. We sold the candy. Nosotros vendimos los dulces. An ER verb, but an IMOS or EMOS conjugation in the preterite tense. I understood the book. Yo comprendí el libro. Pardon that siren. Yo comprendí el libro. I understood the book. You familiar lived in Peru. Tú viviste en Peru. Ella asistió la fiesta would be she attended the party. They masculine ran to the park. Ellos corrieron al parque. And we feminine covered the food. Nosotras cubrimos la comida. Vendimos, comprendí, viviste, asistió, corrieron, and cubrimos. Qué bien. Well done.